All right. Welcome to the Fantasy Football Last Call podcast. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. With me tonight is a fill-in guest co-host. I'll let him introduce himself. What's going on, man?
What's going on, Joe? Thanks for having me, man. Erik Johnson, I'm a writer and editor over for GoingFor2.com and co-host of the Fantasy Friends podcast. But we're about to break down some pretty decent, I guess, games, some good ones, some bad ones, some decent ones from week three here.
We've had some interesting games. I'll tell you what, I was dreading those first games today. We had a lot of duds, but came on strong at the last part of the games here. But dude, let's start off here real quick with tonight's game, and it's the Packers and the 49ers. And I just gotta. We just talked about this before we went on air. Like that last play before half where they brought in Trey Lance and the Packers just basically let him walk in. Like, how do you not just spy Trey Lance that entire time? Like, let's just put two guys on each side and just spy Trey Lance. You knew what was coming. We knew what was coming. We were like, oh, guess what? He's going to run to the outside. What? And they just let him walk right in. Like, geez. Okay. Anyway.
No idea. We were saying
mind-boggling
before we went on. I'm like, oh, Jimmy G's taking it. Oh, never mind. This dude is way faster than Jimmy G. Never mind. That's Trey Lance. Like
you were like Trey Lance is in. I'm like, oh, he's gonna run it in, and then boom, it happened. So yeah, that wasn't a hard one to predict, guys. It is what it is. But I mean,
defensive coordinators. That's the real story here.
No, I don't.
No,
not even close. But
you don't want that stress.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna pretend like I'm that good. So we're just gonna go with that one. So anyway,
yeah, man.
All right. Anyway, man, let's jump into the rest of the games here, and I will let you lead the way with these 1 p.m. games.
Yes, sir. So we're gonna hit off on two drubbings off the bat. Washington football team versus the Buffalo Bills. Washington 21, Buffalo 43. Heineke 14 for 24, 212, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. The bigger news for fantasy was that Gibson saw that he had 73 yards receiving. Not too shabby. Finally, I guess, they finally realized maybe, you know what? This dude played wide receiver in college. Like, Lord have mercy.
Yeah, right.
You know,
I mean, but it was off one catch, so let's slow it down a little bit there. But yeah, like, hey, guess what? You guys should probably give him the ball a lot more. Like, McKissick is a great pass catching back, but Gibson pretty good himself.
he's a tad athletic. That's what we'll say with that.
Slightly, yes.
Josh Allen, he looked back to the 2020 form that he had, 358 yards, 4 touchdowns. Zach Moss, 13 for 60, 331 and 1 in the receiving game there. Cole Beasley, 11 for 98. Emmanuel Sanders, the old man, has got some strength in that Achilles. 2 touchdowns. And then Stephon Diggs, 6 for 62, still a decent PPR outing for you. So, Joe, what did you take away from this game right here?
I mean, the big thing for me, and Jeff and I have talked about this the last couple of weeks, and I've even talked about it with my co-host AJ in the last couple of weeks on Fantasy Six Pack Hours, is Josh Allen, man, finally looked like Josh Allen. The efficiency, was back up. The yardage was way back up. The touchdowns were way up, and so we loving what we see here. The other thing I got to mention here, just real quick, is how bad does this Washington off defense look? Dude, I mean, they were phenomenal last year, and we all thought they were going to be like, what, a top 5 defense this year? And rightfully so. I mean, the personnel really didn't change. I don't know what's going on, but they got to fix this crap real quick if they're even going to be competitive, because the offense isn't going to be very competitive. Like, we know Gibson's good, we know McLaurin is good, but obviously that we knew the thing that was going to hold them back was going to be the quarterback, and it may not be the quarterback holding them back anymore. It might be the defense if they're going to keep playing like this. So, I mean, like, I get it. The Bills' offense is phenomenal, but they didn't play well the first 2 weeks, even against the Giants, to be honest. So something's got to get right real quick, and Josh Allen exposed them big time, and he should have.
Yeah,
So
agreed. And I'll just say one thing as far as the running
sure.
game goes. Zach Moss, Devin Singletary, flip a coin. Who knows what's going to happen? Zach Moss saw 16 opportunities. Devin Singletary saw 13, and they had a positive great game script the entire game. So just kind of pick your poison. If it's me, I'm not starting either one of them because I just can't deal with that heartache when I see the other guy go off.
Well, let's put it this way too. They had a positive game script, and Josh Allen still threw 43 times.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
so that just means they still want to run this ball or pass this ball a
Yeah,
lot more than they want to run. Singletary was an afterthought for some weird reason today. So,
yeah.
yeah, moving on.
100%. So once, like I said earlier, another drubbing, if you will. The Chicago Bears 6 points. Whew. The Cleveland Browns 26. Fields 6 for 20 with 68 passing yards. Sacked 9 times. Lord have mercy. Montgomery 10 for 34. That broke my DFS heart right there. I thought he might do a little better, but I'll tell you, Baker Mayfield looked halfway decent. 2 for 40, 246 passing yards, 1 touchdown. Nick Chubb being his normal self, 22 for 84. Kareem Hunt was really the star, the fantasy star of this show.
Yes.
10 for 81 and one and six receptions for 74 yards. OBJ getting out there, doing way more than I thought he would do.
Yeah, me too. Me
5
too.
for 77.
Yeah, me too.
I,
Yeah,
not
congrats
mad
for
at that,
OBJ for
man.
coming back and being relevant. I'm looking for bigger things from him in the future. You mentioned Hunt. Like I like Kareem Hunt's talent. I think we all do. But I think we all agree that this is Chubb's team for the most part, and it's hard to trust Hunt more than maybe even a flex play. If you slept on running back and you have Hunt as an RB2, so be it. That's what it is. But you're gonna get these days, one out of every four. I feel like than not rather than not. Um, you mentioned Fields and these Bears. Oh. Dude, I had a dynasty league where I had to choose between and look, I'm struggling at quarterback in that league. I thought I was good for a while after I drafted Carson Wentz, a few years ago, and he had his almost MVP season. But I had Wentz, I have Trevor Lawrence, I drafted Justin Fields this year too, because somehow they both fell to me. And I had Tyrod, and he was doing okay. I probably would have started Tyrod today if he was healthy. Or Tyrod, whatever you want to call him. Sorry, I'm a Hokie. I still call him Tyrod.
I got
Screw
you,
that.
bro.
Screw that. But I had Brissett and didn't want to do that, and whatever. I don't think either one would have mattered. I don't look at my scores during the day, so I'll figure out if it mattered or not. But I did start Fields because the consensus, including even my projections and rankings, said to do so. My gut said start Lawrence, so maybe I would have earned an extra point and a half, but I don't know if it would have mattered. But yeah, Fields was an absolute disaster. Honestly, I don't know if it was his fault. I mean, the Browns literally blitzed. Like every time Red Zone flipped to that game, it was like the Browns blitzed 7 people, and it was like hike. And then there was 3 Browns in his face. Like immediately, it was like, what do you expect this guy to do? Even if you did think he could run, there was nowhere for him to run. So I think there's better days ahead for Fields. I think he's better than this by a mile. But yeah, this is a rookie quarterback going on the road on his first start against a fairly good defense. I didn't expect this bad, but I didn't expect much better. Let's be honest. So.
Well, I'll tell you, Myles Garrett had set
Oh my gosh.
franchise record. 4.5 sacks,
Yeah.
7 tackles, 5 for a loss. Dude was every bit of the first round pick that he should have been.
I think Red Zone or maybe the broadcast said that Fields is now second for the most sacks in their career for first start. There's one other dude, and I don't even know who it is now.
Some poor soul.
11 sacks, by the way. Oh my god, double digits is brutal.
Somebody must have played against the 2000 Ravens or something like that.
My thing is always and I joked about this with you before we jumped on air. It's I joked on air, but it's hey, at least he didn't throw an interception or fumble. Like, how many rookie quarterbacks would have just been like, blah, 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 like, just like drop the ball a million times or like just thrown it into nowhere land? Like, at least you just held on to the ball. Like,
Hey,
because I'll tell you, like, for a while there, the Bears were still in the game. This was like a 13-6 game in the middle of the third quarter because he didn't turn it over. And then it was just like, all right, well, the Bears aren't going to move the ball at all. So the Browns finally just scored a bunch and like, whatever. All right.
hey, you find silver linings in everything. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? You
I
got
mean, I'm
to.
sort of joking because it was terrible, but hey, at least there's a little something going on there.
Yeah. So for our next game here, the Detroit Lions gave the Baltimore Ravens everything that they could handle. They won that game off of a 66 NFL record field goal, and I think with 2 seconds left in regulation.
Yeah.
Lamar was okay, I reckon. 287 for one touchdown, one interception, 58 yards on the ground, as we all expect from him. I'm always kind of disappointed when I don't get 100 yards from Lamar. I know I'm being selfish there,
Hey,
but you know what I
he's
mean.
he's gonna get Michael Vick's record soon. He's at
He will.
9. If he gets to 10, he breaks it.
But I tell you what frustrates me the most, and I'm sure you're going to talk about this, that running back opportunity share
Yeah.
there is the strangest, weirdest thing. You think Tyson Williams, to me, has looked like the best running back there, but they're giving carry. I mean, who led the, Latavius Murray led that backfield in carries with 7, Tyson Williams with 5, Devontae Freeman, the husk of Devontae Freeman, had 3 carries there. But guess who bounced back? Mark, my man, Mark Mandrews, if you will, bounced
Yeah,
back with
man.
5 and 109, and then Lord have mercy, Hollywood Brown. Why are you
Oh,
doing this to us, my dude? 3 dropped touchdowns.
I'll be honest. This game should not have even been close in the first half. He dropped 3 wide open passes on different drives, no less, that were like, if he just caught it, he would just stride it into the end zone. So, yeah, brutal for them. Good for Mark Andrews, and it would have made Lamar's day way better.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I think the story coming away from the Ravens side of this ball game is what you mentioned and it's this. Besides Tucker hitting this field goal, which was amazing. I don't know if if you guys can watch this replay, by the way, like from the kickers or the field part of view, and just I feel bad for Lions fans and Dave Eddy, who ran the show with me last year. Sorry, dude, but if you watch it from the field and you watch through the field goals and you watch the fans behind it, when it hits the goalpost, the crossbar, and everybody just goes yeah, and then they realize it's gonna bounce backwards instead through the goalpost. They all go oh. It's like the most disheartening thing to watch. But like as a semi Ravens fan, because my wife's a big Ravens fan, and I'm close to the Baltimore area, and I just like watching record setting stuff like that. That's cool. I was like, oh my god, that was amazing. But I feel for the Lions fans who I am friends with, and that's brutal, dude. But yeah, this 7-5-3 like. And none of them really. I mean, 4.5, and 2. The thing that really got me was like at one point, like this passing offense, despite Brown dropping the ball, wasn't really effective. And I mean, Lamar, yeah, it would have been much better if Brown had caught the ball a couple times, but it wasn't really effective. He was missing a lot of passes, and so you were like, look, this is one of the best rushing offenses in the league. Go back to it. It's worked in weeks, and look, Detroit isn't good, so like just plow over them, and they just refuse to do it, and that was mind-boggling to me. I'm going to be very curious to see if they go back to running the ball more next week. I hope they do, but I think all of these running backs take a hit next week in everybody's rankings because of what we saw this week. So, that's
Yeah, man, I mean, who do you play
unfortunate.
from there? Who do you play from there moving forward? You know what I mean? Like,
I I think I'm gonna have to go back because right now I don't have access because I don't have live data.
sure.
I don't have snap data, and who saw more snap share things like that. So I'd be curious to see that kind of data first, but I think you still want to lean Williams a little bit. But yeah, I mean, they're Murray and Williams are now inching closer to that kind of Jamal Williams and Swift range, but like way lower, which we're going to talk about in a minute, because at least Swift and Williams are performing to where these guys aren't.
Yeah, exactly. And let's say this about, DeAndre Swift. Lord have mercy, 7 catches
Baller.
for 60 yards.
7 to 7.
I tell you what, I don't even care if he's not. He saw 14 carries, which I love. That's great volume right there. But 7 catches for 60 yards, let's go with that. Jamal Williams, so it was a 14 to 12 carry split, but a 7 to 2 target split, and that's between DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams. Excuse me, sorry. And then Hawkinson killed me in DFS. I got to be honest with you.
Brutal.
2 for 10. Just hang my head and
I didn't like Hawkinson this week in DFS or really anywhere. I mean, going against the Ravens is tough, but yeah, I mean, he getting shut out like that. I kind of wonder, and I wrote this in the notes here to you, is I kind of wonder if they kind of kept him in as protection wise. So we do have a quick note here in Premium Alta is asking us how our weekend went. I'll be honest, man. I don't look at the scoreboard because I'm in so many leagues. I'll drive myself absolutely insane. But I have a gut feeling I'm not doing well. but who knows? What about you, man?
In the 3 leagues I care about, I believe I'm going to win in all 3 of them.
Nice.
So
I'm in
I'm good with that.
12. So I don't watch because I'm going against a guy here who I have over here and vice versa. And it's like a spider web of stuff, and you're just like I can't watch. I can't scoreboard watch because you're like, oh yeah, oh crap, oh yeah, oh crap, and I just can't do it. So yeah, it's just kind of like it's gonna be what it is. It all figures itself out at the end. There are random weeks where I go like 12-0, and there's weeks where I go 2-10. It's crazy. Anyway,
it's wild.
Let's move on here, man.
All right, the Colts and the Titans. I'm going to hit on a couple quick things here.
Sure.
Ryan Tannehill, finally, we got that efficient day from him.
He's TD efficient.
Yeah, exactly. TD efficient. 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Derrick Henry coming off that 41 opportunity game. Still he got 113 yards. Julio didn't do great. 3 for 47 there, even with A.J. Brown going out early with the hamstring.
That was brutal, man.
And then I'll say this about Jonathan Taylor. I'm going to ask you about this, Joe. 56, I believe it was 51, and then he saw 64 yards. Yeah, 56, 51, and now 64 yards rushing for this guy who was taken as a top consensus 8 running back off the board. He's really hurt fantasy managers.
I have no idea what is going on with the Jonathan Taylor users. Like when we saw Matt get rolled out early, everybody was like, "Oh yeah, Jonathan Taylor all day," and he played well through the first 2.5 quarters, and then they decided to not use him at all. And I'm not even kidding you. And I don't know exactly the point where he didn't get a carry the rest of the game, but they got into the red zone, and it was still a close game. They passed every single snap in the red zone, like within the 5-yard line, and they didn't give it to Taylor, and they didn't score. Go figure. Or they might have gotten the field goal, but they were within scoring. And then all of a sudden the Titans blew the doors off, and then it was like, okay, well, fine, but at some point, you've got to do what almost the Titans do, right? Where they ride their back, they ride their best player, and where they ride Henry. Right, Jonathan Taylor had a better average yard per carry than Wentz did yard per reception. Insane that you don't give it to Taylor more. This is nuts. Taylor is an elite player still in everybody's mind, apparently, except for the coaching staff in Indianapolis. It's unbelievable. I don't get it, especially when you have Wentz coming into the game with, 2 severely sprained ankles, and you thought they were gonna take it easy on him. 37 pass backs or dropbacks, and he only completed half of them. Stop letting him do this. It's not working. So yeah, I
It's
don't
like
know.
they're trying to justify that off-season trade. Like, we need to get this. You know what I
Why
mean?
not
Like, he has to play all
just
these
win
snaps.
games? Win games. That's gonna
That was the whole
justify it,
point of
guys.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I agree with you 100%. But moving on here, we got I almost called them the San Diego Chargers, the Los
I do it
Angeles
all the time.
Chargers,
Ooh,
upsetting
Debo.
the now 1-2 Kansas City Chiefs. Might be the best 1-2 team of all time, but 30 to
The
20
best last
score
place
there.
team.
Got
Right.
him.
Sorry, Chiefs fan.
And Herbert, man, Herbert, 281
Bala.
yards, 4 touchdowns. This kid is the truth. Austin Eckler obviously did what he did, but let's say this: Mike Williams in his contract year has been so good. 31 targets over 3 games. He saw 7 receptions, 112 yards, 2 touchdowns, one with 32 seconds left. I mean, Lord,
Which was silly.
dude, I'm saying
That was that was
let's
honestly the
go.
dumbest play call that I've ever seen that worked in a long time. Like, wow.
If it works,
And
it
you left
works.
Mahomes with 32 seconds left. And they missed
Sometimes
the
it's better
extra
to be
point
lucky than
too,
good.
which almost like bit him in the ass. So like you were just like, oh man. You almost wanted, like, I hate to be like, I don't want to like go against anybody, but like, because they made the dumb call to not like kneel the ball and let the clock run out and just kick the field goal at the end of the game and go for the touchdown, and then they missed the extra point, you almost wanted that extra point to bite them in the ass just to be like, yeah, don't be stupid.
I told
Don't
you
do
so.
it. Just don't do it.
And I'll say this one more thing, man. CEH finally redeems
Yeah,
himself.
dude.
17 carries, 100 yards, and a touchdown through the air.
Oh, we got an Ayuk touchdown, baby.
Finally. Oh, did Ayuk just score?
Ayuk just scored. He's 11, right?
Yes, he's number 11.
Yep, we got an
Let's
Ayuk
go.
touchdown. So
I
he's
called him.
alive. He's
I
back.
called
He's
him
back.
in I
Yeah.
called him in my buy low article this week for going for 2.com.
Yeah,
I
good
said,
stuff,
"Go
man.
get him."
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, so I'll recap this real quick. So yeah, Herbert is amazing. This is actually what we're gonna see. Mike Williams is the guy we talked about for a while, like the last couple of weeks, and we mentioned last week. Like the volume he's getting is incredible, and it's something he hasn't seen in his entire career. Like, he usually gets like 5-6 passes thrown to him, but they're all like 40 yards downfield, and like they're almost like half of them are uncatchable, and he's just like, and he gets hurt off of them because they're like,
jumps
contested
2
catches,
feet
and he gets
into the air.
undercut, and like, so this is awesome to see because this is the guy who I thought coming out of college was one of the best receivers coming out in a long time. Out of Clemson, he was amazing, and I watched the ACC because I'm a Virginia Tech fan, so like I knew who this guy was. He was incredible. Keenan Allen, we know, does his thing. Eckler is back, man. Like that's all there is to it. He's back. He's doing his thing, catching balls. He had like almost 20 touches total, or 18 touches total. That's perfect. That's what you want from him. Yeah, CEH though. That is amazing. This is what you kind of wanted from him. I want to see him do it again before I fully believe. I don't know if it was more like, the Chargers were game planning to like, hey, beat us with CEH instead of the other guys. I want to see him do it again because we've seen like a game here out of CEH before, but we haven't seen it multiple times. I want to see it again, but that's a good sign for him after 2 abysmal games from him. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 games where I was almost on the verge of saying,
dude, he was 4,600 on DK, by the way. He was dirt cheap. He was like almost free.
I had him in a game that
I
had him. So.
unfortunately did not get to put in some lineups. I had the kids myself this morning, so I wasn't able to throw in some lineups.
Dude, I've been there
But I
before.
forgot. But it's cool. Hey, let's get a quick question in here real quick. We got Zachary Zigmund. What are the odds that Dak and Zeke put up 40 plus for PPR me tomorrow?
Are we talking
Playing the Eagles?
Passing touch?
Probably. I'm assuming 4.
Okay.
I'm gonna say, dude, you're probably about 50-50, man. I mean, I'm guessing about like maybe a 25-point game at a Dak, and actually, you know what? I'm gonna go more like 38%
62.
chance. Yeah, the more I think about it, because Zeke has not been getting the usage, so I'm guessing you're gonna get like a mid 20 game out of Dak, and unless you get like a multiple TD performance out of Zeke, I don't think you're getting it. Let's be honest.
I'll say this as the resident Dallas fan, I'm going to give you some hope here. Zeke has seen 68% of the snap share. Tony Pollard has looked great, and I love Tony Pollard, but he's only seen 32% of the snap share. So please go ahead, and I would say 58% chance, my man. Charlie, you got this. Don't even get in there. Pop up.
Yeah, here's the thing though.
You got this, brother.
Here's the thing though, man. Like even though he's getting the snap share, he's not getting the touch share. That's the problem.
That's true. Yeah, and I'll say this:
Pollard every time he's in the game, he's basically getting the touch. That's the thing. To where Zeke, when he's in the game, he's not getting the touches. They're using him as a blocking back. I love Zeke's talent, but man, it's not happening right now. Like he's gonna have to go for multiple scores, or Dax has got to go all for like 35 in order for it to happen. Which is possible. The Eagles suck, so it is what it is.
I would say it's not a terrible stretch to say 25 and 15. But
I don't think it's a terrible stretch.
I told Charlie, 58%, my man. You got this.
All right.
I believe in you. Moving on, we got the New Orleans Saints smacked up the New England Patriots here, 28-13. Jameis Winston, maybe he's okay. I don't know.
We said this week 1 too. It's the same thing. You were like, yeah, what do you do with this?
So he saw that 150 yards in week 1.
This is exactly like week 1, man. Minus 3 touchdowns.
2 touchdowns, yeah. So, I mean, Marquez Callaway finally panned out for folks with a touchdown here.
Yeah.
Mac Jones
80
threw the ball
yards? Or 40 yards.
He had 41 yards and a touchdown there.
So I said 80. I don't know why I said 80. Oh, I was reading Kamara for a second.
Damian Harris just crushed my soul. I gave some people some advice this morning to play Damian Harris.
Yeah, me too, man.
6 for 14. That is not great.
I don't get that.
And we have here that Jacoby Myers. Let me just say this. That dude is a PPR floor angel. If you need a good floor in PPR, start Jacoby Myers. He has got you. 9 for 94. And then James White, he was carted off with a hip injury, I think it says here. So
yeah. Not looking good, man.
Game, honestly, to siphon anything about fantasy from.
I mean, at least the only thing I can say is at least Kamara got touches again, because the week before he got like 12 total. But this is such a weird offense. Like it's so. I mean, you're starting Kamara, but literally I wouldn't start anybody else. And I think this is an albatross with Harris. Like I think he's the guy there. Like it was weird. There was one point where they were like close and they kept running the ball with what the hell's his name?
Ramondre Stevenson.
No, it was the God damn it! I can't even think of his name.
JJ Taylor.
No, it was actually somebody else, and I was like, "Oh, this is like 3 years ago, guy." Exactly. I was like, "This is stupid." Stop giving this guy the ball, and the point that I can't even think of his name is like so dumb. That's why he shouldn't have gotten the ball. But yeah, it was just sort of like just give Harris the ball. He's obviously the more electric guy. Oh, Bolden.
Brandon Bolden?
They were giving Brandon Bolden the ball within like the 10-yard line. Yeah. And I'm like, Harris, they were trying to do like these outside runs with Bolden. And I'm like, this guy runs slower than me. And I'm like, this doesn't work, guys. Like, just give Harris the ball. This is clearly the guy who should be getting the ball. But yeah, they didn't do it. So, oh well. Moving on, because this game is bleh. As I mentioned in my comment, this game is bleh.
I mean, speaking of another Blair game, the Falcons and the Giants, which it did.
Oh my God! We can probably move on with this game too, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, Saquon, 16 for 51 and 1, 6 for 43. That's the big takeaway for me for fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, he looked healthy, and he looked explosive at times, and especially on that over the top play where he like jumped over the line, like that was something where like as soon as he did it, I went, oh, okay. Like, this dude can leap again off of that knee. He's back. So if somebody wants to sell you, give you a discount on Saquon, now's the time to do it for 100%. Good luck figuring out the Davis and Patterson, mix here with the Falcons. I was a big, Davis believer in draft season, but it's not happening, unfortunately. So. Yeah. I'm going to be searching for that RB2 in a couple leagues where, I had him as my RB2 and my RB3 and 4 are now hurt. So
Well, hopefully your wide receivers at least look really good in those
They
leagues.
do. They do actually.
There
But
you go. So
yeah,
there's the silver
thankfully.
lining.
Yes. Thank you for that.
So to this son of a bitch Steelers team
Oh my gosh.
that has killed me 2 weeks in a row on parlays. Damn you, Pittsburgh! But the Bengals whooped
Big Ben's
up.
done. That's all I can
Done,
say.
dude. He's
Can
done.
can we just Big Ben's done. Jamar Chase is the real deal. And yeah. Although
And Najee
I
Harris.
am not going to believe that Jamar Chase, by the way, we'll just skip this game real quick because I can just finish it out here real quick. Jamar Chase, by the way, he will not keep up this pace. If somebody wants to pay, really top dollar, like if somebody wants to give you like a Calvin Ridley for Jamar Chase, I'm buying it in a heartbeat. Because, dude, Jamar Chase has like 12 catches and 6 touchdowns. Like, it's insane what's happening right now with him. So, no, that's not happening. I love that he's a very talented receiver, but in redraft, like, now is his, like, super high value. Get rid of him for somebody who is a little underperforming. People are I get it. Like, I'm a Ridley owner. I roster Ridley in a bunch of leagues. I'm frustrated. But, I guarantee you there's somebody in the league where they're going to trade you 1-for-1 Ridley for Chase because of the touchdowns and the point totals that he's got. And, it might not happen right away, but I guarantee you Ridley will bounce back and be good, and Chase will not keep this pace up. And, yeah, Big Ben, I feel for him a little bit in this game because his receivers got hurt. Juju got hurt. He didn't start with Johnson. And Claypool could only do what he could do, and he's throwing to guys who we don't even know.
15 targets to Najee Harris though.
19.
Lord, was it 19?
19.
I thought it was
19.
15 earlier.
That's insane. I mean, that's how bad it got. He was just throwing to Harris the entire game, and Harris ate it up. I mean, 14 for 102 yards receiving. So yeah, there you go. So
I hate it.
you're loving it if you have Harris on your team, but yeah, it's there you go.
And then for our last afternoon/morning games, depending on where you're at in the country here, the Cardinals beat. Listen, this game is way closer in the first half than it should have been. Cardinals 31, the Jaguars 19.
Yes, I love it.
Kyler Murray. Yeah, it scared the hell out of me. Kyler Murray had a beautiful, beautiful run in the first or second quarter. It was the first half or something.
He always does that, where he's like out by himself. He just holds the ball out.
Yeah, it was just everybody bit on.
Everybody got
I'm like, what the hell? But I tell you what, Trevor Lawrence has looked awful over the first 3 games of the season. I do believe he's going to be okay as far as dynasty goes. But for this season, drop him, kick him off your team. Whatever you got to do, get him out of there. He is not.
Trevor Lawrence, yeah. He's not a redraft guy right now. Like I said, I mentioned earlier on where I had to choose between him and Fields and Wentz in a dynasty league. Unfortunately, I knew I was hurting for quarterback, and I drafted Lawrence in the first round, and then randomly in the middle of the second round, Fields fell to me, and I was like, well, if I'm that desperate for quarterback, I got to take a chance on 2 of them. And just the rest of my team's actually pretty good. So I just have to hope one of them hits, right? Neither one of them are hitting right now, so it is what it is. But yeah, no, I feel you. The one thing I got to worry about, and this is what we always got to worry about with Murray, right, is that, he had the passing yardage, but, like, he didn't throw for a touchdown. He was, not very... It just wasn't working today. And if it wasn't for that rushing touchdown, it actually wasn't that great of a day for Murray. Connor busted in for 2. Kirk was the big receiving target. AJ Green came out of nowhere. Like, what the hell? Hopkins wasn't healthy, but he missed Hopkins over the middle like a couple of different times where, like, it was wide open and just like missing behind or over the top. Like, it was weird. It was kind of odd. I'll tell you this, good sign for, J-Rob owners who were, relishing over the fact that they got him, especially if you drafted early, like I did in a bunch of leagues where you got him kind of at a discount. Unfortunate for ETN, but, I was like, well, maybe the ETN injury didn't matter because J-Rob sucks. But, it is what it is. The Jags got kind of lucky to even have 19 points here. I'll be honest, because did you see that field goal attempt? The the 68
Oh
yard field
yeah,
goal. The 68-yard field goal attempt at the end of the first half,
absolutely. Yeah,
which was absolutely insane. And then
I forget his name. He's Jamal Agnew ran it back for a 109-yard
it
touchdown.
reminded me of like the Auburn Alabama game thing where like the people just kept like diving at him and like, just kept missing, and then it was just like yeah, scored a
It looked like
touchdown.
the laziest like
And then like
thing
dude,
ever.
they were
Weird.
it was a sort of a close game until the Jaguars decided like third and something in the beginning of the second half in their own territory to go for a flea flicker, and then Lawrence just like because he's just a rookie and he doesn't know how to read it, right? He's just like, oh, this is my play. I have to throw it, and he just heaved it up to an open
Right to
receiver.
Byron, yeah, right to
But like
Byron
the
Murphy.
guy was not open. Like the receiver just undercut it, or the defender just undercut it right away and just ran back, and that was game over. Like that was the game right
Yeah.
there. That was game over. So yeah, Lawrence is not gonna be a guy you can rely on this year, unfortunately. I mean, the Cardinals' defense isn't bad, but they're not top notch. And if he can't get it done against them, like I don't. I mean, unless he's playing Atlanta, unfortunately, I don't know if there's gonna be a lot of defenses he's gonna get it done against. So it is what it is. But all right, let's move on here to the 4 p.m. games here, and 4 p.m. Eastern time games, the late afternoon games, and we're gonna start with the Dolphins and the Raiders. And man, this was a hell of a game. Went into overtime, which was I don't think anybody expected. The Raiders ended up pulling it out 31-28. Brissett was 215, ran for 37 yards, and ran for a touchdown. To tie it up in overtime, actually. So it actually ended up like getting tied up in overtime again. So we had multiple scores in overtime. Gaskin was good, 13 for 65, 3 for 9. Gesicki, the rise of Gesicki, 10 for 86. So maybe Brissett likes him more than Tua does. Right? So does anybody want Tua back? No. Waddle, 12 for 58. Holy crap. So those in PPR leagues are relishing there. And then on the other side of the ball, Carr, high yardage again, man. 386 yards, 2 touchdowns. Barber, 23 for 111. Whoa. Renfro, 5 for 77 and a touchdown. I mean, I know we're missing, tight end here for the Raiders, but he didn't do a whole lot. So Waller,
That's the thing.
unfortunately not. But I mean, what's the takeaway here? I looked at this box score and going like, I don't know, because it is an overtime game, so stats are a little inflated. But like, the one thing I can think of is like, we talked about this before on other shows is. This resurgence from Carr and this high yardage games from Carr, is this something we can expect week in and week out now? Because it's been 3 weeks in a row.
I think so. Once you have that pattern established, I mean, this seems like the way they want to win games, even though they gave the fantasy superstar Peyton Barber 23 carries. But you know what? You know what's worrisome for me more than anything else is that Darren Wallace on 19 targets in week 1. He's seen 12 combined in week 2 and 3.
I mean, defensive
Teams are
target.
game planning for
Of course, they should.
Yeah, exactly, as they should. But the Raiders keep finding the way to win
You know what,
against
though?
teams that I do believe that are actually very talented teams. Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and I actually like Miami. Obviously, they didn't have Tua today, but
Yeah, but Miami's defense is solid. They've been shutting down.
solid.
They shut down like Josh Allen.
yeah,
So yeah, no, I like that fact too. I also know that just from watching this game, that I know the thought on Ruggs is that he's not a playmaker, but holy crap, I don't know if you saw it, but he made some amazing like contested catches tonight, and he had 7 targets. He only caught 4, but that's way better than he usually has. He had 2 or 3 amazing contested catches where he went up for the ball and got drilled and he came down with them. That's not what he usually do. So maybe this is a turnaround game for Ruggs finally.
I hope so, man.
If it is, man, then I think Carr is going to have an amazing end of the season, and that's all we can hope for. And that's going to open more things up for Waller, which is going to be better for most people.
And you could see him getting more comfortable with Brian Edwards as well. I guess we should say Brian Edwards is getting more comfortable in the NFL. So they have a decent.
I love Brian Edwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was touting him so hard coming out of
a lot of people were.
So,
A lot of people
man.
were.
But I love Derek Carr. I think it's going to keep going.
Yeah,
I see no reason why it shouldn't.
I agree. All right. So Broncos 26, Jets 0.
Do we have to talk about this at all, or
I don't know, man. Let's just. All right. So Corey Davis caught 5. Carter led the way for the Jets running game. Move on. Teddy, whatever. So I think the talking point here is Mel Gordon. It finally flip flopped on the running game here with Mel Gordon and Javonte Williams. So the first 2 weeks of the season, we had Javonte Williams actually run the ball more than Mel Gordon. This week we had the opposite. Mel Gordon was 18 for 61 in the touch, and then Javonte Williams was 12 for 29. Granted, he caught 3 for 33. So, I mean, again, like I think what's your take on this? Because I've given my opinion, and so has Jeff. And my co-host on Thursday has given our opinion on this backfield for the last few weeks. What's your opinion on this backfield and what it's ultimately going to become?
my opinion is probably the consensus that Javonte Williams will eventually take over this backfield, and I see it happening sooner rather than later. Although obviously the script flipped in this week, but I think at the same time when you're up this much, you give the running back who doesn't mean as much to your team more carries. Therefore, ergo, Melvin Gordon gets more carries. But as far as like opportunities go, they were pretty close. I mean, 15 to what, 19 or so. I really don't take much away from this as far as do I think Melvin Gordon is good for fantasy? Sure. Do I think Javante is good for fantasy? Sure. But until Javante starts seeing, 60% of that opportunity share, I really don't want to start either one of them in anything more than like a desperation flex play.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. All right, next game here, Bucks and Rams. A little bit of a surprise. I mean, both 2-0 coming in, but I think a lot of us thought the Bucks were going to take this one, but
Yeah.
Rams stuck it to him, man. 34-24, and it was, I mean, closer than it really was, but
Yeah.
this game was really like, garbage time at the end for the Bucks. Brady, high yardage again, 434 yards, only threw for 1 touchdown. Granted, he snuck in, typical Brady fashion, snuck in for one. Evans, 106. Godwin, 74. Gio, though, man. I mean, granted, this is what I expected from Gio if they were getting behind. This was a Gio day. 9 for 51 in the touch. So there you go. This is why I wanted him at best ball big time, because there's going to be these games, right? The Rams, Stafford, 343 and 4 touchdowns. 2 of them went to Cooper Kupp for 96 yards, 9 catches. Deshaun Jackson probably should have had more. The couple of them were underthrown, man.
Should have.
I
That dude should have had 3 touchdowns.
I never would have thought Stafford would have underthrown somebody, but he actually underthrew Djax. Like Djax literally looked at him like, What the hell was that? Like, am I that fast for you at 34, bro? Come on. But yeah, he finally got 129 yards and a touch. Sony Michel in place of Henderson, 20 for 67. So not great, but it is what it is. There's a lot to go here because there's a lot of stats, but where does your eye go immediately?
Immediately it goes to that Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp connection.
Yes.
That is something that I don't buy into the narrative too much in the offseason. I try not to.
3
right?
weeks in a row.
No, exactly. So that when I hear, oh, they're having breakfast and they're doing all this stuff, and Cooper Kupp's, they're best friends, I'm like, I don't give a shit because Robert Woods, in my opinion, before this season was the better receiver. But I tell you what, Cooper Kupp is the dude.
Yeah.
I mean, he is the dude in that offense, and I love it because he's a massive slot receiver, 6'2", 220 out of the slot. He can line up on the outside. He's in there for pretty much 100% of the snaps. And I mean, I'll just say this much, and I've said this in a couple tweets. Sean McVay looks like a child in a candy shop when Matthew Stafford throws a touchdown. He's like, oh my God, I finally have a great quarterback.
Yeah, no, he loves it, man. He really does. And he should.
And he absolutely should. He's like, this dude can run my offense how I want to run it. Like, he was in Jared Goff's headset this entire time when he was his quarterback, and the fact that he doesn't have to do that. And Matt Stafford actually checked out of a couple of plays into the
Mm-hmm.
run, and they actually ended up
100%.
working out. But that's where it goes first. I'm surprised they ran Sonny Michelle 20 times, but establishing the
I mean,
run
they were in the
that
lead,
opened
so
up.
why not?
Yeah, that opened up play action as well. So good for them.
Yeah, I mean the you mentioned it like the where my eyes go, and I know I want to get to the last game and get out of here, but you kind of got to that point. But where my head goes really is the fact that Robert Woods is just not getting the looks.
Mm.
I mean, 6 targets, that's okay, but then caught 3 of them for 33 yards. Like, he's not getting the downfield work, which is what I think we all thought he would get. Like, we all thought Cup would be the underneath guy because that's what he had been with Goff for so long. And maybe it was this Goff holding him back, and maybe Cup Woods was kind of the overtop guy. Like, I don't know what changed, but this is not anything anybody expected. And so, like, I took Woods over Cup in every league except for one where Cup kind of fell, and I'm reaping the benefits. I think actually Scott Fish randomly.
Same,
So
bro.
hey, there we go.
Hey, dude, I got him in the 5th and the 6th in Scott Fish. So let's.
I mean that's a weird format too because
It is a weird
super
format.
flex
Super
and
flex
all the other stuff. So
kickers or,
yeah, I think I'm reaping the benefits there. But that's just kind of a weird one. Like I would have told you 9 times out of 10 take Woods over Cup, and I was wrong, and it sucks. Because I'm eating it too, man. I'm eating those words too. Oh wow, dude! MVS finally catch a ball, especially for a touchdown. Holy crap, that's amazing. I didn't know you could catch a ball. Anyway, last game of the day, except for the one that's going on: Seahawks and Vikings. Vikings upset, in my opinion. The Seahawks 30-17. Yikes! This was a weird one, man. Like I did not expect this at all, especially with Cook being out. But, I mean, Wilson was 298 for a touchdown. It went to DK Metcalf. He had 107 yards. So Lockett, we Jeff and I talk about this all the time. Like, Lockett has like 4 monster games a year. And he had 2 of them in a row. So, like, we were waiting for the down game. And of course, it happened. No offense to you, man, but I kind of wish Jeff was here to, like, back me up on this one and be like, yeah, we told you so. But no, like, I hate doing that. I hate doing that. But it is what it is, man. Carson had a good game, 12 for 80 and a touch. On the other side of the ball, Cousins doing his thing again, man. This is like 3 weeks in a row for him too, man. 323 and 3 touchdowns. This week he spread it around a little more. Jefferson 9 for 118 and a touch. Thielen got his 6 receptions, 50 and a touch. And then, Madison did his best. Dalvin Cook,
He looked good.
He looked good, man. 26, 112 yards,
Yeah.
6 for 50. I mean, he looks like Dalvin Cook when he runs the ball. Like, I had a couple friends over, and they were like, "That looks like Dalvin Cook." I'm like, "Yeah, he does. He run. It's like the same running style." So he did a great job, and it's funny because before the season started, when we did the NFC North preview, me and my co-host, and I forget who our guest that was, and I apologize for that. We kind of all were like, after last season, when Madison didn't really perform like you expected him to when Cook was out, we kind of were all off of Madison, even as a handcuff. We were like, does that really matter? Like, is he going to really be the guy there? But it is what it is. He proved us wrong today, so maybe that's going to be a thing. But he's still a handcuff, and that's really what it is. But
Don't overreact. That's fine.
yeah, don't overreact. Like, I mean, he's probably rostered in every league anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But what's your take on this? Like, is it the fact that like DK finally showed up and like this is the DK we can expect, and Lockett's gonna be up and down? Is it gonna be Jefferson's the real deal and Thielen's gonna finally come back down? Like, this almost seemed like a normalizing game for both teams, minus the score, in my opinion. But what's your thoughts?
It's a very, very good point. It is almost like a normalizing game. But I'll say this about Tyler Lockett. I want to write an article about him actually. In the past 50 games, not counting today, in the past 50 games, he's been a wide receiver 2 or better in 21 of those. That's actually like incredibly. I know that sounds inconsistent. But actually, it's really really consistent. But yeah, that's pretty normalizing. Justin Jefferson is going to be the target leader on the Vikings. That's just going to happen. Dalvin Cook should probably be back next week, so I would not expect Alexander Madison to really have you much more fantasy value as far as that goes. And Kirk Cousins has been good for an entire season and now 3 games.
Yeah.
You're talking, he's had 2 touchdowns in week 1, 3 touchdowns week 2, 3 touchdowns in week 3. He had 35 touchdowns last season, y'all.
Yeah.
35. My dude can play. Like, I love Kirk Cousins. He is the unsung hero of freaking fantasy. As far as like Superflex goes, if you have him as your quarterback too, you're murdering people. Like, it's not even close. But
I
but yeah, I still like Adam Thielen. He's fine. Like, he's going to get all the he's going to get double-digit touchdowns this year. It's just going to happen. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Russell Wilson will have better days for sure. He'll have better
yeah.
days. But
Yeah, we talked about we talked a lot about Russell Wilson in the offseason, and my thing with Wilson is he seems like he has these like massive games, especially early on, and then he sort of struggles later in the season, and so like he's had one now, so maybe he makes up for it later, but he I don't know. I mean, dude, go back to last year. He was QB like 2.
Yep.
Through the first like 8 weeks, and then after that it was like QB like 20.
Yeah, he was.
And he averaged actually like QB like 10. So everybody's like, oh, he was good. Like,
Yeah.
but like, go back and look at the
Context
numbers,
matters.
guys. Context matters, guys. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, good call. All right, man. Thank you for stepping in for Jeff tonight. It was
dude.
great talking to you, and hope everybody's doing well. I think we are at. Oh, of course, I'm looking at the screen where there's no score. I think they're going to. Oh, there we go. It is 24-14 Green Bay. 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So, they're making it. They're keeping it interesting here. But we will let you go and enjoy the rest of the game. And we will talk to you guys next week. And if you got anybody Monday night, good luck to you. Unless you're playing me.
Take care, y'all.
All right. See you guys.